you guys from time to time. But let me welcome all the people from other universities who are here present. People from Caleb University, from Redeemer University. So you are welcome, Nina Iporuko. You are welcome, Dake. Okay, let me now, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of University of Lagos, who I represent as the Dean of this faculty, welcome you to University of Lagos, the University of First Choice and Innovation. The only university with a lagoon, the only university accessible by air, by road, and by water, and very soon by rail. Honestly, if I had known that the president would be coming, I told from the gate to receive him, because we are really honored. We are proud of what you are doing. And Palasade spoke to a bit of your accomplishment. You know, you knew early where life. So if you are called to the man there, you have to choose one of the two paths. So nobody handles both. So you can't be a barrister and solicitor in England. And that was even as far back as 1960. But because the number of lawyers were few, and then much will require much more, you know, in terms of capacity and all that. And I felt that for the right reason, we chose the path of combining the two. So that once you are qualified in Nigeria, you can then practice and vote. But now, if you look at the number of students we are turning out, during the last bar, come to bar ceremony, I think there were more than 5,000. And then people are always complaining as the standard of legal education is dropping. If you ask for my own honest assessment, it may be dropping elsewhere, but I don't think it's dropping in this year. Because in this group, you have 45 dedicated lecturers that are teaching you, and 21 of those are professors. In Nigeria. Others have their track, maybe as MNI or even as national office holders. So here, despite the overarching challenges, we are doing our best to make sure that we teach you passionately, to make sure that we also bridge the gap between theory and practice. There are lawyers who will pay MBA fees, but they don't have interest. You know, there are lawyers who, after being caught down, they never wear their wig and gown anymore. So when we are recommending pupillage and all that, we must take account of the different classes of lawyers so that we do not lump them together. There are some who just need little education to prepare them for the next phase of their lives. There are some who...
Thank you so much. All right, so we have some important dignitaries in our midst, and I will be calling them one after the other. I want to encourage us to, appreciate these people for honoring us with their presence. Firstly, we have the Chief Magistrate Victoria Gomorai, retired. He is the Assistant Director of the Unique Global Institute of Parallel Studies in Federal Lagos. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming and honoring us with your presence. Yes, we are all aware already that we have the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, with the President of Mazi, Afam, Osigwe, FAN. Can we appreciate him once more? I think he's one of the pioneers of this program. The reason why you're here, and it's one of the reasons why we also learned about the topic for today. We also have Ibironke Odumosu Ayanu, a professor and a proud Gilead alumnus of this prestigious institute. Can we appreciate her once more? We also appreciate our lecturers and our Miss. We have Mrs. Nina Ekoroku. Can we appreciate her? Thank you so much for also honoring us with your presence on the People's School. And can we appreciate ourselves because we are here and we are going to learn in this great institution.
I do not know what your team has been doing, but the excitement it generates in you guys is so contagious. I mean, falling in dream the other time, I found myself cheering like I'm one of you, and I've seen a lot that you have done. Thank you again and again. That you don't a very busy person. As busy as he is, he has done so much behind the scene. When the event was initially cancelled, he tendered up his unreserved apologies like it was the ASU strike that caused it. It was really pleasant, it was really kind, it was so empathetic, and he's been a great supporter. And I would say that is one of the reasons why this is going, because at the point I'm like, okay, why don't we cancel? But then, he just reached out and said, okay, we are giving you a date. Is it good for you? We are providing these facilities for you. He's been very supportive. Please, can you give him a round of applause on behalf of every Thank you so much. Thank you. I will recognize that. May I recognize all professors present here, all law teachers present, my seniors, colleagues, and all students. I don't know how they address students again. It's been a while that I've left school. Thank you. May I respectfully observe all protocols. I mean, it is with great pleasure that I deliver this address on behalf of Nigerian Association of the Education Committee. Upon the assumption of the President of the Nigerian Association, in line with Article 14 of the Nigerian Association Constitution 2021, Legal Education Committee was set up to be chaired by Professor Abiola Olawuyi, who was actually present here at the last date. He was present here, but again, he couldn't hold. The committee's goal is to develop and present to the Nigerian Bar Association the position on how to reform and advance legal education in Nigeria in order to ensure and reflect contemporary legal needs and standards. And one of the ways that we deem fit in our knowledge and in talking to people is to move around, get opinions from people that are really on the field, the law teachers, the law students, and lawyers. And that is from different quarters on the need to improve on the Nigerian legal education policy for it to meet the global standard. I'm not even going to comment on that because Professor Sanni has said so much on the 1962 reformation of legal education, which has been the only time that legal education has experienced reform in Nigeria. And so I'll just keep that. And again, I talked about some of the challenges, but then let me just chip in the issue of welfare of law teachers, infrastructure deficit. Understand that institutionalization of law internship is now a thing, that faculties now collaborate with law firms, organizations to do law internship. However, it is imperative that a lot still has to be done in the legal education in Nigeria for a better delivery of legal services in order to transform our society up to the global standard as law students, as legal practitioners, and as law teachers. Globalization has made a global market, and it is not negotiable for everyone to up their game for better positioning and impact on the global market. So it's not even about legal education now, it's even about legal practice because, again, many times we have our law teachers in legal practice. No matter what you're going to be doing, whatever business you're going to be doing, it ends up in legal practice, and the foundation is the legal education. And, it's something that is actually genuine. Law students, law teachers, legal practitioners are essential tools in ensuring improved and sustainable legal education and ultimately an enviable law profession. Again, we all know that when you're law students, people envy you. When you go in the society, people envy you. And you need a very very strong foundation to do.
If what a standing ovation will do. Thank you very much. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so very much. Abiola Sanni, the Faculty of Law, the University of Lagos, the incomparable Dean. Since we are not here to compare, I will say nothing more about it. Permit me to adopt the already established protocol. I think we spend a lot of time on that protocol. I thought we should have this conversation about reforming the legal education because year in, year out, we hear senior lawyers complaining about the declining quality of lawyers coming out of the law school. And it would appear that we keep having knee-jerk reactions without really thinking through what qualifies as a form and what does not qualify for. Shortly before I applied to read law, some people somewhere sat down and thought that the solution to this problem was increasing the length of time it took to read law. Prior to that time, it was 4 years. If he had done some other degree course, he did direct entry and it was 3 years. And without getting any statistics, it was increased to 5 years. And so I did 5 years. I was admitted to read law in the 1991-92 session, and I graduated in 1997. And then, before then, the University of Ibadan had toyed with the idea of making law a second degree. And there were arguments against that, and they have since scrapped it. The complaint has gotten worse. Oh, what kind of lawyers are we producing now? And the many faculties of law have sprung up and have what is approaching a problem that is actually like a disaster waiting to happen. Backlog. So people graduate from law and they can't get into the law school. Last year, when the dean spoke, he talked about 5,000. That was just one stream. In all, a total of about 11,000 persons were called to the bar. Let me warn or note that whatever I say here, I say as Afam Osigwe. This is not the MBA position. The MBA position is what we are trying to arrive at town hall meetings like this. So I'll share what I consider my personal thoughts, because if I speak as MBA, then I'm suggesting that this town hall meeting is a waste of time. When I listened to the incomparable team, I nearly made up my mind not to say anything. Indeed, to act like those justices that said, I've had the benefit of reading my brother justice a judgment in draft and have nothing more to do, or I concur. But then, the dean and the other persons have primed me up to expect me to say something, and I wouldn't want to disappoint you. So I want to also say the same thing, even if I end up boring you by repeating what the dean had said. We have a problem, surely. We have a problem. And I'll start my conversation with a quote by Lord Daniel Parker to show you what motivates us in having this conversation. He said, if we never do anything which has not been done before, we shall never get anywhere. The law will stand still while the rest of the world goes on, and that will be bad for both. You know, sometimes what really works is that which I feel I've tried before. Try on a chartered course. And I'm going to speak in somewhat unconventional manner in the things I advocate. I've been a member of Council of Legal Education, and I've never hidden the fact that I consider the idea of a law school a total waste of time. As an academic institution, where you go and do residential studies to write exam. I have personally always advocated that the qualification to be qualified is a postgraduate thing. You don't need to go and sit down and be lectured all over again. I consider my 1 year at the law school as 1 year of note taking. I'm not quite sure I learned much. In my time, I was the first, when the law school moved to Buhari, so we were the first set at Buhari, 98. I never saw the lecturers because the facilities were not there. I listened to them through the speaker. And so while they taught, we moved about, we bought food, registered, and we copied notes. And thank God we passed. And it got me thinking, how do you transform a person who has spent 5 years in law school and universities and suddenly think that by bringing him or her to a place called a law school, you make him an excellent lawyer? And I ask myself, if whatever is being taught at law school is incorporated into the curriculum of the universities, would there be need for a teaching place called law school? Test exams are like ICANN. People should enter there, be given the syllabus. How you study is your business, come and write. What they call faculty law school in America is what you are in, faculty of law. There's something like our own idea of law school. But then the difference is that in the US, law is a second degree course. You must read something before you go to read it, just like medicine and a few other courses. We must find what works for us. And I ask myself, some of the courses we are being taught, being forced to take jurisprudence, not a core course. Even the judgments we read have no jurisprudential content. There's no legal philosophy. There's no judge or justice of the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court will say, this is how he's going to rule on this issue. No, you can't predict. Because there is no underpinning legal philosophy that the justices bring to the table. So jurisprudence, I'm simply that as an example to show that some of the courses your time is wasted studying. You can read up on your own introduction to entrepreneurial thing, introduction to computing. It does that. Then they are not enough to keep people here for 5 years. If a person has you're doing historical things that are of no relevance to anyone, Lavender and nobody again bothers again. Rule is split and sell win. Has no practical significance. Legislations are picking out these things, and we are still wasting time teaching students nonsense. Nonsense. Things that have no practical value. Things that don't challenge you intellectually or mentally. And then our teaching style. Fail. If they don't give you what I taught you, will fail. The student is not allowed to think of his or her own. Because our teaching is rote learning. Cramped, vomit, fast. No insult to I have people who are first class. So, and that's where a number of people who make first class are those who are best at cramming. No insult, I didn't make it and I did not envy you. But I'm making a point. All over the world, those who do best are those who think on their feet, who are able to provide solutions, not those who give you textbook knowledge. Little wonder that those who own businesses are not usually those who graduate top of their class, but those who can provide solutions to problems. So my first suggestion is that the length of people, by the way, before them, why do we need to reform? If we don't reform, like the dinosaur will die away. Classes are small, but then it has a downside. It limits the number of those who can read the course. And it also means that the students really have to pay higher to afford that course. Classes are small, and then the students enhance education. In our peculiar situation, we have to live with this. But ideally, that's not how to teach people. Then when they get to law school, you'll be in a one room, over 1,000 of you. Just sign attendance, whether you listen or not, is a different thing. The benefit of reform is that we want to say we need Nigeria to be a destination for people to come. It needs to be that people from Sierra Leone, Gambia used to come to Nigeria to read, but they've set up their own law schools. They are doing that and they are doing very well. But increasingly,
few and few foreign lecturers teach in Nigeria, few and fewer foreign students come to Nigeria. Why shouldn't we, like, for example, say this is our criteria for admitting students to the law? Why must JAM insist on setting an exam for any person and tell you what to do, who you should admit, and how you should admit? Think about that. But then again, the society must have some equitable way of ensuring that those from certain poor or disadvantaged backgrounds just like someday, the heat, the lack of air conditioning will make us say, do we still have any need to wear wig and gown to appear in court? UK, we adopted it, it's facing it out. Wearing it for narrow cases and for ceremonies. And the lawyer said, what is the lawyer without wig and gown? As if suddenly, it is not the hood that makes the work. You can wear your suit and be a fantastic lawyer. It's not the wig and gown. So, for tolerating me this morning, for allowing me to say the few nonsense I have said, I am very grateful. For allowing us the use of this facility and putting more resources for us to have this conversation. We are eternally grateful to the Faculty of Law, the University of Lagos, and to the dean, the lecturers, and the management team. And for all those law teachers who have had to come from different places to be part of this conversation, thumbs up. And Shada Abiola, for outing me as a harsh man, I leave you to God. But I always insist that people will address you the way you dress. And if you're a lawyer, there are basic principles of dressing or behavior expected of you. That's why we belong to the legal profession. Once I thank you, and for pouring you, I always be apologetic. Thank you also very much.
Firstly, on our list, we have Alexander Ekemena, right? He's a pioneer of law and journalism. Can we welcome him? Welcome, sir. Thank you very much for having us. Thank you very much for honoring us with your presence. We also have Esquire. He's also a Nigerian alumnus. Can we put our hands together for him? You're welcome, sir. Thank you. We also have Dr. S. Eletu. He was also the former dean of Lagos. The former dean was Professor Badebo Olagunju. Can we put our hands together for him? Also the former dean of Lagos State University. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much, Aaron. And then we also have the current dean of Lagos State University in the person of Professor K. Olatoye. Can we put our hands together for him? You're welcome, sir. Well, please, sir. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. All right.
President, sir. All protocols really observed.
Yeah. So I said, congratulations. And the next question I asked is, so how is life now? We started talking. And at some point, she said, we are still looking for briefs. Though it was like a joke that you just finish now, you get briefs. But after, I started thinking within me, she's looking
all that the president wants. To reform the president wants today. Everything is perfect. What is the future for aspiring lawyers, for young lawyers? Every one of you, is there anyone here who doesn't want to drive good car?
Olatoye to also give us insightful remarks concerning this topic with regards to Lagos State University at large. You're welcome, sir. Please keep calm until you get to the stage. Thank you.
Chairman, MBA, the president of the MBA. Sorry. My former dean, Professor Osigwe, distinguished guests, and great intentional. You didn't have the intention of reading law, your parents just forced you, so you don't mind if the faculty expels or asks you to leave. Now raise your hand. Just everybody wants to read law. You don't know. And then why didn't you raise your hand? Raise your hand. If this is here, that will help me to. Because this proposition actually contradicts my experience lately. When I had the pressure for admission to my faculty, and so many people calling parents and others, some students will also come, my parents asked me to come and see you and so on, then eminent personalities and the legal professionals who called me. Then I expressed my lamentation to one of them. I said, why is it that so almost everybody wants to read law? This pressure is too much. The response of them is, I'm surprised you are saying this. If somebody who also wanted me to help, to get somebody in, he said, I'm surprised you are saying this. The reason she said that was that she believes that even if you don't want to make a living out of law practice, at least for that prestige, people want to read law. So how do we determine somebody who just wants this profession just for prestige and someone who wants to make a living out of it? That's why it's practically impossible to say we want to limit those the number of people that want to come in for law. Because as they are sitting down, even before finishing this law profession, they are already enjoying the nobility attached to this profession.
Jobs as jurisprudence and legal philosophy and legal methods and courses of that nature. But I would say something about those courses, right? Maybe they don't need to be compulsory, but coming from someone, perhaps because I'm an academic, there is a certain usefulness in how you think. It was someone who said that learning law is not actually learning law itself. It is learning to think a certain way, right? It is learning to be a lawyer. So there's that kind of usefulness. So there's something that informs what I'm saying right now, even if I don't communicate that. And it's a certain worldview that I've picked up from place to place to place, the certain philosophies that I've picked up. So there's certain usefulness to those things, but it's how we organize them that starts to become important. So I do take the view that we need to think about our courses, but we do not necessarily need to let go of certain things because of certain reasons. So there needs to be that systematic conversation. And then finally, I can't remember who it was. I think it was the president who touched on something that is a very sore point of mine, and that is class sizes. As much as I love this school, I do agree, if you put students in this auditorium, seriously, and have one person teach them, how much can they actually get out of it, right? So class sizes, and there's a way around class sizes. There's something that universities do around the world, and that is to have their professors and their lecturers teach the core courses. Contracts, land law, all of those types of courses, they teach them. The elective courses, they bring in expert practitioners to come teach those classes. And it's very useful for the students because they get to see have practitioners teach them those classes. So that's one way to manage the idea that you might start to have smaller classes. So even if Unilag admits 250 students, it may mean that there might be 3 sections of the compulsory classes, right? So not just one section, but maybe 3 sections, maybe 4 sections. And the lecturers and professors that will be dedicated to those small sections, how then do we make up for it? We make up for it with sessional lecturers, experts that will bring in to help us deal with those holes and plug those holes that we've dedicated more lecturers and more professors to. And I want to say something about my professor here, Professor Sanni. I think he was in this room, I remember. So for example, now I'm a professor. I never ask my students to do closed book exams. they only ever write open book exams. Yes, that works for us. As much as possible, we should see what they're doing, learn a few things from them, look at what our brothers and sisters are doing in African countries as well, learn from them, look at what works for us, and then come to the conclusions that we want to come to. And that's going to take me to my third point, which is really that the idea of what the Legal Education Committee is doing is very important. But one of the things that I thought about as I sat there this morning is anyone taking notes this morning? I don't know. You're taking notes. Thank you. So we need to take notes. We need to have rapporteurs. We need to take these ideas down. And we need to have a systematic process, right? From going from school.
The needs of mobility. I came with the train from Abiola. I'm representing Olabisi Onabanjo University. I go with him. I came from Abiola. SAN, that's the chairman of the Legal Education Committee. Professor Abiola Sanni, SAN. So, all other protocols rest on all other protocols. So I'll just say a few words that will tailor my comments to that area where I function a lot. Last year, we published a book which I co-edited with another colleague on clinical legal education. So I was thinking maybe I could upload some copies so that the audience can have access.
And we are facing at our institutions at the university level, and we may likely face when they leave their institution at university and go to the law school before they become lawyers and MBA begins to become problem. But that has been put to our to implore that we return back to that period where we have these heads meeting again like before, and they can bring up these problems and these issues, throw it up, and then we have a holistic view of the problems are both at the tertiary institutions and the professional school, that is the law school. I think I have several points here, but I think okay with those two.
We have our street filled with lawyers who are not properly groomed, and then how about their wages? And that's why I want to thank the president and Mr. President requested you to wait just 1 minute. Your leadership has now introduced the Legal Practitioner Regulation Act, which has got a good for lawyers now. And look at it very well. Now, if you take a brief without charging your clients and you are reported to the disciplinary committee, your name will be struck off the book if you're a new lawyer. And what's more, you cannot just be called to the bar now and start practicing. You must spend 5 years by the new regulations now. So I want to thank your leadership for that.
On that topic, you are the major reason why I sought permission to come back on stage. Under the speech I delivered at the legal ceremony of the Supreme Court a few months after my assumption of office, I advocated that the number of academics who take the rank of state to increase to at least 3. But there's a view I have which I did not share in that speech. In other countries, when you're an academic and you take state, it's honoris causa, you don't use it in court. So if we insist on having more academics take the state, we should also be willing that if they take the zero, they will not use it in court.
Objection.
If you can't have your cake and eat it, but that's the conversation we have. I was silent about that because I knew I was going to have this pushback. There was a second thing you talked about. This is my 27th year of legal practice. Watch online guys arranging. I see go for content optional. I don't see what is wrong with the process of it. I pay service providers to attend training because I always remind myself that there is so much to be learned.
I was doing CPD while I listened to you.
I tell my colleagues in chamber, I say never get too comfortable or complacent that you think that there is nothing further to learn. And I tell a story, and it's a true life story happened here in Lagos. There was a bank that acquired a headquarters, but it didn't have a lift somewhere on the island. And they brought in quite a number of engineers looking at the building, how did they fix and again. Oh, say if you do this, you crack the deck, you need to do this. They were paying so much. One day they brought in a team of such engineers, and they were going around making calculations. Sorry, talking. And they were going around. The cleaner was cleaning. You know, she had to mop the floor because they kept going back and forth. And she said, what is wrong? Can't they even put this lift in front of the building? He didn't have much education. That her side comment gave them the solution. That's about CBD. We did not bring remuneration order. The administration of YC Mekiel got the Legal Education Remuneration Committee established by Section 15 of the Legal Practitioners Act to sit and enact it. And it came into effect in 2023. We are only trying to draw attention to it and enforce it because of our firm belief that when we place a value on ourselves and on our services and charge better, we do less work and make more money. And that the clients will not respect us much for charging peanuts. When you charge peanuts, actually, my experience has shown, the clients, when they have something that will pay well, they go to another person. And the guy who charges anyhow lives in sorrow and believes that witches from his villages are after him. And if you charge well, you can, like the British lawyers, do maybe 4 cases in a year and go on vacation because the more you earn, the more taxes you pay. And some time off from Canada, come here and chill. Because you don't have to work every day of your life. And the client will not respect you for charging and at all. In fact, my father was a trader. My only recollection of visiting my father's shop was of an artist's impression painting. Just graphic thing, 2 pictures, dilapidated environment, rats, poverty, could feel poverty. Holding his head and saying, I sold on credit. And on the other side, that of a man with rosy cheeks, quite robust, very healthy, not unlike Professor Abiola. And the man said, I sold in cash. And I said, the man who charges peanuts is like that man who sold on credit, because you're actually working on credit. You are subsidizing your client's work. You're not collecting cash. He said, that one, you know what you do. If you buy a car, not mean they give a lift. Even if you know law, you won't be there. Don't you know his dead place? When you are crossed, look at his chin next time you see him. I would have loved to stay to hear this student. The reform we talk about, you need to listen to your voices. And it pains me, I will not be around to listen to you. But I hope that the recording, the minutes of this proceeding, will note your radical, because you're very rebellious people, you need the other one. You have radical ideas, and I always love listening to you, because you challenge the status quo. The essence of this town hall meetings is to find solutions that will challenge the status quo and make a better legal profession. When you stop seeing my face and hearing my voice, know that I'm racing through Lagos traffic to the airport, so I'm going to miss my flight. But it's been a wonderful time being here.
Want to be lawyers that know this is an efficient in quoting our statutes and everything. So I feel like they should give us time, like there should be a considerable good amount of time for us to, carry out our educational system. Thank you.
MBA presidents have also come here to say, but the thing is that it comes at a huge cost to those students, because as a university, there is nothing that the university offers us to compensate for the academic loss that we suffer when we go out representing the university. So in most universities abroad, you see them go and they have stellar performances, and when you look at them, it's either the university offers them course credits for that competition, or they get some kind of academic compensation. But here, it's like we are not making the choice easier, the choice between extracurriculars and academic work. We're not making it as easy for the students. On Saturday, I had a meeting.
Right, I was not paid. In fact, the transport I spent to the law firm was much more than the amount I was paid. So students should be paid because that law firm, I actually worked throughout the month for the law firm. I made research for them, write papers for them, did a lot of work, and I was not paid. So that should not be. And the other one is the reward of academic excellence. So we don't do that anymore. And if you look at our prices, you can check the convocation list. You go, you see 10,000 naira, 25,000 naira for courses, right? So those prices were actually huge at that point in time. So there should be reformation of prices for academic excellence. There should be scholarship. There are many students who actually want to study law, right? But they are not charged. So it takes courage to come out for funding and all, right? So there should be scholarship and all. And I think by implementing all this, the legal education can become better in Nigeria. Thank you.